The Bone Wars was a period in American history where primarily two paleontologists started rapidly discovering dinosaur bones, and in doing so, they generated public interest in these giant lizards. The interesting part about this was not so much they discovered bones, but they had this sort of fever pitch against each other where they were in constant competition to find the most bones, to get the most prestige, to humiliate each other in publications. Two playable characters in the game we're talking about today are the actual two people that I'm referring to, and that's Edward Drinker Cope and Othniel Charles Marsh. Now, these two are responsible for why dinosaurs are as cool as they are. I mean, dinosaurs have always been cool, but the point is that they brought these giant lizards to the forefront of the American mind in the late 1800s. What an awesome theme for a board game. I mean, this translates into what became the Great Dinosaur Rush. Scott Almes created something here that is familiar enough to be easily taught, but also just the theme and the mechanics are unique enough to be an absolute blast. And I want to go over a little bit of the gameplay. I won't go too deep into it. I'm not going to tell you exactly how to play the game, but it's important to see just how well the mechanics fit into this crazy time and theme. For starters, the archaeological dig site here is littered with dinosaur bones that are represented by these small wooden pieces. Players will go through on their turn. They can move in a straight line, land there. At the start of their turn, if they're on bones, they'll pick those up. They'll get them. They can move one of these publications. So this is the public interest. If they want to make sure that the public's more interested in ferocious dinosaurs, they move that up. If they want to prevent someone from, maybe they're not going to have a dinosaur with the most ribs, they're going to try to lower public interest in what types of dinosaurs they want to be displayed, which is important because in the second part of each round, players are actually constructing dinosaur bones. So first players move. They collect bones. They can move one of these interest categories up or down, and then they can take an action, they can take normal actions, which they can move public interest again. They can grab one of these special dinosaur bonus cards. They can do sort of friendly actions. Or they can take notorious actions, which is, kind of really in the theme of the game. They can throw dynamite to get more bones. They can steal bones from other adjacent sites. They can even set traps for other people that if they go through or land on, they'll have to take these sort of these notoriety points. And I'll go over those in a second. But yeah, you can be cutthroat, which will definitely. Well, not definitely. You can be cutthroat, which could get you ahead, could really pay off for you. The thing is, you don't want to be the most ruthless player in the game. You want to be the second most ruthless, and I'll tell you why in just a second. Now, like I said, the two paleontologists I was talking about, they're playable characters, but there's a whole number of other characters that you can play as. Each one has their own unique ability that bends the rules a little bit. So you've got that asymmetry where no player... You start out with the same amount of resources, but the gameplay is a little bit different for each person, and with the more people that you've got, the more crowded the board is. It's just a really sleek design that works really well. Now, when it comes to scoring at the end of the game, you've got these notoriety tokens that you've been potentially collecting throughout the course of the game. With the exception of the two-player game, this is the way it works. So these are drawn blindly. They've got numbers 1 through 3 on the back. You count these up, and whoever has the most points in this, they get that negated, they get that subtracted from their score. Everybody else, however, so the person that has the second amount of these and so on and so forth, gets these added to their score, which is it is a balancing act that is just a ton of fun, because you don't want to be the one that's got the most of these, but you definitely want to be the one that has the second most, because it can add up to a pretty substantial bonus depending on who takes what. You're trying to observe, the person to your left and your right. You're like, they've taken 3 of these tokens. We don't know if those are 3 1s or 3 3s. So you have to figure out how bad you're willing to be in this game in order to potentially get a pretty high score. So at the end of each round, you take whatever bones you've collected and you start out with a certain number of bones that you never lose, and you construct a dinosaur. You've got the different categories that you've been, moving up and down throughout the course of the first phase of the round. And then you say, okay, which one of these categories can I try to win. Also, you've got your dinosaur bonus cards that will give you, a number of points if you complete them. And they tell you specifically how to do certain things. So this one, that tells you how to build one of the limbs. You can have 2 limbs, and how to place the ribs. This one specifies for one specific limb. So you could potentially get both of these in one turn, which isn't always the case. That's the base dinosaur skeleton I can do here. But I've got, plenty of other bones. These grays can be wilds as long as they're just touching one color. These blue are unique bones. So it's like, he's got a horn now, so that's kind of cool. So I can take this and I can build, whatever type of dinosaur I want. So, there you have it. You've got your dinosaur. This would be a perfectly adequate dinosaur. We then would all lift our shields once everybody's done. We'd compare each specific category to whoever, wins each one. So, for instance, the special categories each round, there's the size, which is just whoever has the most ribs. There's the height, which is the combination of the neck and the longest limb. There's the length, which is the spine and the tail combined. There's the ferocity, which is the head plus the shortest limb. And then the uniqueness is, whoever has the most of these blue bones, which are unique bones. So I've got spikes on my tail, and he's got a unicorn horn, which is pretty sweet. And you play 3 rounds of this. Each time you're accumulating more bones. And so these don't go away. These I keep for the next round, and then I collect more bones. Dinosaurs get bigger and bigger. Points get more and more. And you keep doing that. This game was live on Kickstarter about a year ago. Started hearing a few reviews for it, and so I asked for it for Christmas, and I am absolutely glad that I did. And because this is a game that we've played already quite a few times, and it's one that I hope to get to the table more and more because it's got a really cool and unique theme. It's easy to teach people. The strategy it's pretty cool. It's a lot of fun, but that creative aspect of building the dinosaur bones and building the skeletons and trying to win both the dinosaur bonus builds and the points from each specific category, that's where it shines. It shines in the notoriety point tokens where you're trying to figure out who has what amount of points, and it shines in the creativity that comes from building the dinosaur bones and then seeing what everyone's done. Regardless of if you win or lose, it's still going to be a really fun game. Now, if I were to say any negatives about this sort of back and forth movement of, influencing the public's opinion on the dinosaurs is a big part of the game. That being said, it can get a little tug of war where you're kind of going back and forth. It is what it is. There's 3 rounds that are pretty much exactly the same. So some people will find that a little bit repetitive. I don't. The fact that you're getting more bones each turn, and you have to use every single bone, so you have to be careful on which ones you use, which ones you don't. It is. It makes for, honestly, a perfectly timed game. This is a good amount of time. You're playing 45 minutes to maybe an hour, and you complete what is a really satisfying, just fun game to play. The Great Dinosaur Rush is a game that encapsulates its theme so well, and it takes that theme and it applies these mechanics to it, and just the gameplay and everything fits so well, and it's in such a compact amount of time, and it's easy to explain. It's one that I absolutely highly recommend. And while I've seen games with similar mechanics, I've not seen a game that I could accurately compare to what this is. So honestly, give this a shot. Absolutely love it. If you enjoyed this video, please like and subscribe, and we will see you next time. Thanks.